In life, there are moments when we unintentionally share things that we later realize were mistakes. A story, a past failure, or something meaningful can accidentally cause misunderstandings or stir up pain within the family. But the question is silence truly frightening, or is it wisdom? I want to share with you the story of Mr. Lawrence, a retired carpenter. One time, while talking about his youth and how he was misled by a business partner, he recounted how he lost a significant part of his wealth. He shared this story with his granddaughter, hoping it would become a lesson about being cautious when trusting others. However, instead of learning from it, his granddaughter looked at him with pity and judged him differently. Her reaction made him regret sharing too much. From this story, I began to reflect on the importance of what we should and should not share with our family. It's not about hiding things, but about preserving harmony in relationships. Today, we will explore 5 things you should keep silent about to maintain peace within the family. Mr. Lawrence was a carpenter who had retired after dedicating his life to his craft, creating beautiful and lasting products. However, a crucial part of his life story was tied to a painful failure he could never forget. The story involved a wrong decision in trusting a business partner, someone he thought was a friend, but who ended up causing him a significant financial loss. Though he later learned a valuable lesson about being more cautious in business relationships, the cost was still a part of his wealth that he could never recover. One day, Mr. Lawrence sat beside his beloved granddaughter, whom he cherished deeply. In a casual conversation, he began to share this story, hoping it would serve as a warning to her so she wouldn't make the same mistake. He wanted her to understand that in life, not everyone is trustworthy, and sometimes caution is the key to success. However, the reality was different from what he expected. His granddaughter didn't view the story as a life lesson, but instead looked at him with pity and judgment. She thought he was naive, easily deceived, and the words he shared made her feel that he was weak and not wise enough. This was a deeply uncomfortable feeling for Mr. Lawrence. Instead of receiving understanding and respect, he felt judged and unappreciated. He began to wonder if sometimes the stories we share are not always the lessons we hope for, but things that hurt others without us even knowing it. And he realized that perhaps, sometimes, silence is the wiser choice. Since that day, Mr. Lawrence started to think more carefully before sharing anything, not only with his granddaughter, but also with other family members. He realized that in certain situations, there are things we shouldn't talk about because not everyone can understand and perceive them in the way we intend. Stories about failures or wrong decisions aren't always things that the listener needs to hear. In fact, they can increase anxiety, add stress, or create unwanted feelings in relationships that are already fragile. So why do we still say such things? Could it be that human nature always drives us to share our emotions, our thoughts? We might feel lighter after expressing our sadness, but does that really help others? Or perhaps we simply don't realize that sometimes silence brings more value than saying too much. Silence isn't about indifference or avoidance, but about wisdom in choosing what to share and what to keep to ourselves. Sometimes, silence is the best way to maintain peace in the family, to avoid causing unnecessary misunderstandings or hurting our loved ones. Silence doesn't mean hiding or avoiding issues. It's a way to protect harmony, understanding, and respect in relationships. In reality, when we don't share too much, we're also protecting the privacy and space of those around us. From Mr. Lawrence's story, I've come to understand that sometimes silence is one of the most important means for maintaining harmony in relationships. Not everything needs to be said, and not every feeling needs to be shared. In a family, sometimes we need to know how to restrain our words to keep the atmosphere light and peaceful. That's why today, I want to share with you the things we should keep silent about to protect and maintain peace in the family. So is silence really as scary as we often think? Or is it in fact the wisdom we need to learn? Let's explore why sometimes keeping silent is the right decision, helping protect family relationships and creating inner peace. 1. Mistakes from the past. Mistakes from the past are an inevitable part of life. Each of us has made decisions that we regret or paths we wish we had taken differently. However, not all of these past mistakes need to be shared with others, especially with family members. The story of Mr. Lawrence, a retired carpenter, exemplifies this well. He had made a significant error early in his life by trusting a business partner who ultimately caused him to lose a substantial amount of money. Over the years, Mr. Lawrence learned from his mistake, and it became a valuable lesson for him about being cautious and discerning in business. However, when he shared this story with his granddaughter, hoping to impart some wisdom, it had unintended consequences. Instead of seeing it as a lesson about caution, his granddaughter viewed it with pity. She saw him as naive and vulnerable, and it shifted the way she viewed him. This situation highlights an important truth. Family members often look to us as role models, expecting us to be examples of wisdom, strength, and success. When we reveal too much about our past mistakes, it can change their perception of us in ways that are not helpful. While it is essential to learn from our past, it is often better to keep certain lessons to ourselves and share only the wisdom we have gained from those experiences, rather than focusing on the details of our errors. By doing so, we can preserve the respect and admiration that our family has for us, while still teaching them valuable life lessons. It is important to remember that not every lesson needs to be shared in full detail. Sometimes, it is enough to impart the wisdom and knowledge we have gained without revisiting the mistakes and regrets that led to them. By keeping the focus on the lessons and not on the mistakes themselves, we can provide our family with the guidance they need without causing unnecessary harm or shifting their perception of us. 2. Small pains and health. Health issues, especially small ongoing pains or discomforts, are a common part of life as we age. Whether it's a persistent headache, joint pain, or muscle soreness, these issues are often inevitable. However, sharing every little health complaint with our family can lead to unnecessary concern and anxiety. A great example of this is the story of Mrs. Eleanor, who had been experiencing joint pain in her knees. She decided to share this discomfort with her daughter, expecting empathy and understanding. But instead of offering reassurance, her daughter immediately became worried and rushed to find a solution, even suggesting various treatments and medical interventions. While her daughter's intentions were good, Eleanor realized that by sharing every little discomfort with her family, she was inadvertently causing them stress. She recognized that sometimes the best course of action is to keep minor health issues to oneself, focusing instead on the small joys and positive aspects of life. By doing so, she was able to maintain her own sense of strength and well-being, while also preserving the peace of mind of her loved ones. Eleanor learned to focus on the simple pleasures in life, taking walks in the park, enjoying a good book, or spending time with friends. These small moments of happiness helped her maintain a positive outlook, and they reassured her family that she was strong and capable. Rather than dwelling on her aches and pains, she shared her strength and resilience, allowing her loved ones to see her as a pillar of support rather than a source of concern. This story teaches us that while health is undoubtedly important, it is not always necessary to share every detail with our family. Keeping certain discomforts to ourselves allows us to protect our loved ones from unnecessary worry, while also preserving our own sense of independence and strength. It is important to find a balance between sharing genuine health concerns and keeping the minor discomforts to ourselves for the sake of maintaining peace in the family. 3. Unfulfilled dreams. Unfulfilled dreams are a natural part of life. Many of us have aspirations that we never quite achieved, whether due to circumstances, timing, or simply the passage of time. For example, Mr. James, a retired mechanic, had always dreamed of becoming a musician. In his younger years, he had played the guitar and written songs, but he never had the opportunity to pursue his dream professionally. After retiring, he shared his unfulfilled dream with his grandson, hoping to inspire him to follow his own passions. However, the conversation didn't go as he had hoped. Instead of seeing it as a motivational story, his grandson became concerned, thinking his grandfather was dissatisfied with his life and longing for something he never achieved. Mr. James realized that his grandson had misunderstood the point of his story. What he had intended as a motivational message about the importance of pursuing dreams had instead come across as an expression of regret. He decided that instead of sharing his unfulfilled dreams, he would focus on the achievements he had made in his life and the happiness he had found in the present. He shared stories of the relationships he had built, the work he had enjoyed, and the joy he had found in simple things. By focusing on the positive aspects of his life, Mr. James was able to inspire his grandson without dwelling on the things he had not achieved. He learned that it is often better to share the present happiness and contentment we have rather than lamenting what we didn't accomplish. This not only helps to preserve a positive relationship with family, but also prevents unnecessary feelings of disappointment or regret from affecting our loved ones. The lesson here is clear. While it is important to acknowledge our unfulfilled dreams, it is often better to focus on the joys and successes we have experienced in life. By sharing the positive aspects of our present reality, we can inspire others without causing them to worry or feel uncomfortable about our past regrets. Unfulfilled dreams should not define us, and they certainly should not burden our families with unnecessary feelings of loss or dissatisfaction. Number 4. Discontent with family members. When our children or grandchildren choose paths that differ from the ones we envisioned for them, it can lead to feelings of disappointment or discontent. We may feel that they are making mistakes or straying from the path that we believe will lead them to success and happiness. However, expressing dissatisfaction with their choices can strain our relationships and cause unnecessary tension within the family. A perfect example of this is Mrs. Amelia, a retired librarian who had always envisioned her daughter following in her footsteps and working in education. However, her daughter decided to pursue a career in business, which left Mrs. Amelia feeling disappointed and unsure of how to support her. Rather than expressing her discontent or trying to force her daughter to change paths, Mrs. Amelia chose to remain supportive and encouraging. She decided to focus on the positive aspects of her daughter's career and express pride in her accomplishments. By doing so, she was able to maintain a harmonious relationship and show her daughter that she supported her, even if she didn't fully understand or agree with her choices. This story illustrates an important lesson. When we feel discontent with the choices of our loved ones, it is often better to keep our opinions to ourselves. By doing so, we create space for open communication, support, and mutual respect. Instead of criticizing or judging, we can choose to offer encouragement and love, which will help to strengthen the relationship and foster understanding. Our family members may not always follow the path we envision for them, but that doesn't mean we should withdraw our support or love. In fact, it's through acceptance and encouragement that we build stronger, more trusting relationships. Number 5. Estate plans. Planning for the distribution of one's estate is a delicate matter that often involves sensitive emotions. Decisions about who will receive which possessions, financial assets, or other resources can lead to misunderstandings and disagreements within the family. Mr. Robert, a widower in his 80s, learned this lesson the hard way when he shared his estate plans with his children before they were finalized. The details he had yet to decide on caused confusion and tension among his children, who began to argue over who would receive certain assets and how the estate would be divided. Realizing the potential harm, Mr. Robert decided to keep his plans to himself until he had fully worked out the details. He learned that it was best to share such important information at the right time when everything was clear and settled. By waiting until the appropriate moment, he was able to avoid unnecessary conflict and maintain peace within the family. This experience taught Mr. Robert that estate planning is not something to be rushed or shared prematurely. By keeping certain details private until they are finalized, we can prevent misunderstandings and tensions from arising. When the time comes to share these plans, it is important to do so thoughtfully and with sensitivity, ensuring that everyone understands the decisions and the reasoning behind them. The story of the 5 things we should keep silent about highlights the profound significance of silence in family relationships. Silence is not about hiding the truth or avoiding difficult conversations. Rather, it is a conscious choice to maintain harmony, preserve respect, and protect the emotional well-being of those we love. There are moments in life when the best course of action is not to speak, but to reflect and observe, allowing us to approach situations with patience and wisdom. Family dynamics are delicate and complex. Every word we say can carry weight, influencing the atmosphere in the household and shaping the way we are perceived by our loved ones. That's why silence, when used with intention, can be an incredibly powerful tool. It is a reminder that we do not need to share everything we feel or think, especially when doing so may cause unnecessary strain or misunderstanding. Sometimes, the wisest decision is to hold back, allowing the other person to process their own emotions or find their own path, rather than imposing our own views or experiences on them. By choosing silence, we are not withholding love, support, or empathy. On the contrary, we are protecting the emotional integrity of our relationships. This allows our loved ones to feel safe, respected, and unburdened by our personal struggles or disappointments. It's not about suppressing our feelings, but rather about being mindful of when to speak and when to allow space for others to reflect. Moreover, silence can also help us cultivate a deeper sense of self-awareness. By choosing not to speak impulsively, we give ourselves the time and space to process our thoughts before expressing them. This pause can lead to more thoughtful, meaningful conversations and prevent us from saying things we may regret later. It's in these moments of silence that we can find clarity and peace, both for ourselves and for those around us. The power of silence is not just about keeping certain things to ourselves, it's about creating an environment where love, understanding, and patience can thrive. It's about knowing when to step back and let others grow, learn, and experience life without the weight of our own expectations or past mistakes. By practicing silence with purpose, we can foster a deeper connection with our family members, one that is based on trust, respect, and mutual understanding. So, how do we apply these lessons to our daily lives? The first step is to become more mindful of our words and actions. Before speaking, we should pause and ask ourselves, will this conversation add value to our relationship, or will it cause unnecessary tension? Is it something that needs to be shared, or is it better kept to ourselves for the sake of harmony? By taking a moment to reflect, we can make more intentional choices about when to speak and when to remain silent. In addition, we should embrace the idea of being a role model for those around us, especially our family. Just as we hope for them to be wise, compassionate, and understanding, we must lead by example. Let us be the ones who demonstrate the strength to hold back when necessary, to show resilience in difficult times, and to maintain a positive, optimistic outlook on life, even when things are tough. This is the kind of wisdom that not only strengthens our family bonds, but also creates a sense of peace and stability that everyone can rely on. If you found these lessons valuable, I encourage you to take the next step in your journey of growth and understanding by subscribing to the Life Stories 365 channel. Here we share inspiring stories, insights, and wisdom that can help you navigate the challenges of life with grace and patience. By subscribing, you will never miss a new story that can inspire you to become a better version of yourself and strengthen the relationships you cherish most. Together, we can build a community where silence is not feared, but embraced as a tool for wisdom and peace, where we learn to communicate with compassion, share our strengths, and create a home filled with love and respect. Through every story, we can learn the art of living harmoniously, understanding when to speak and when to be silent, and ultimately, cultivating deeper connections with the people we hold dear.